Welcome back to Mecha Mondays. Today I'll be talking about Metal Warriors for the Super Nintendo. Haven't heard of it? Let me show you. Whoa. So unless you're a hardcore retro gamer or a mech fan, how did this game fly under the radar? Let me break it down. The year was 1995, and the world of gaming was in transition between 2D and 3D graphics. Sega had released the Saturn, while Sony began breaking sales records with its PlayStation. Many gamers were moving on to the next best thing, but the final year of the Super Nintendo was not to be forgotten, with great games such as Earthbound, Chrono Trigger, and Yoshi's Island. What makes Metal Warriors so different from those previous titles is that it was only released in North America. You'd think a game about giant robots would surely have a Japanese audience, but nope. Konami, arguably one of the most well-known Japanese video game publishers, distributed Metal Warriors. But what's really shocking is that LucasArts actually developed the game. Maybe that's why the mechs have lightsabers? Coincidence? Anyways, LucasArts put out some great games like the Super Star Wars series, but these games were typically only released in North America and sometimes Europe. This is likely why Metal Warriors never saw a Japanese release. Whew, now with all that background info out of the way, let's move on to the game itself. At first glance, Metal Warriors isn't too different from your other popular side-scrolling mech games like Cybernator, but right away you'll notice that Metal Warriors offers multiplayer. You and a second player can select one of 6 mechs and go head-to-head in several different maps. The mechs vary from the traditional battle mech to heavily armed walkers like Prometheus here, and then you got weird flying ones like whatever. Multiplayer isn't terribly exciting, but it is fun to go a few rounds and experiment with the different mechs. I mean, look at this mech. It's called Ballistic. Ballistic. Yeah, pretty lame pun. Hold up. Why does that look so familiar? Wait a sec, that's the Droideka robot from the Star Wars prequels. I mean, LucasArts did develop this game 4 years before The Phantom Menace came out, so I guess it's possible they reused this design. Now for the cream of the crop, single-player mode. The story isn't anything to write home about, just your generic evil space empire attacking Earth, oh boy. But that's not why you're here to play the game. Oh no, you're here to blast your way through anything that moves. And the controls really help with that. You can shoot in more or less any direction, block shots with this handy shield, go melee with the beam saber, and you can even acquire special weapons like a missile launcher. You start off with the standard space mech, but you actually have the option to change units, which was a unique feature at the time. If your mech gets damaged, forget about it! Ditch that hunk of junk and find another one, as most maps have several lying about. Oh yeah, the enemies can steal your mech. It's actually fair considering that you can steal pretty much anything else in the game. In the event you get robo-jacked, you can jetpack your way back to another mech, or you can go kamikaze and restart the level if there's no other mech available. This has admittedly happened to me several times. You are also required to get out of your mech from time to time for level progression, in order to open gates and whatnot. As a nice change of pace, the objective isn't always the same for each mission. Sure, you're guaranteed to destroy dozens of robots each mission, but Mission 3 has you defending reactor cores and even piloting a spaceship at the end. Mission 4 is fast but fun, putting you on the defensive using the Prometheus mech. And if you're starting to get bored with the outer space theme, Mission 5 actually takes you to Earth, specifically Alaska. Yeah, they really send you to Alaska, it says right there. Also, for you Gundam fans out there, does this mech remind you of a Zaku at all? As much as I love this game, be warned that owning a physical copy will likely cost you over $200 US, given that this game is just over 20 years old and is now a collector's item. Thankfully, you can always just emulate it on your computer and still have a great time. Overall, Metal Warriors is a great game if you like your giant robots with a side of 16-bit graphics. So check it out sometime. I'll catch you next time on another episode of Mecha Mondays.